Okay, we're back. It's so amazing, because you never find mold, fungus and yeast by itself, but you always find it they're in their own little condominium, which is a glycoprotein matrix that it's made out of. It slowly invades the glycoprotein matrix of around the cells of the body, and fungus breaks food down and things like that, and it produces a mycotoxin, and oxalates are produced, and phosphates are also produced, and calcium combines with these, and so then you have calcium oxalate and calcium phosphate. If you have little stones and little things that formed on your gums and the dentist found some of those, then you definitely have this going on in your body. But that's the absolute evidence of bile occlusion. And these organisms all produce an excrement called a mycotoxin, and that gets deposited right throughout the whole of the body, and it causes a wax-like resin to be deposited in the body, and people end up with cholesterol and bile stones and brain stones and kidney stones, and basically these calcium oxalate and calcium phosphate is the substance that the body becomes cemented with. Every 2-3 years that pass by, it pretty much doubles in a person's body. So the more we go on in life, the more calcium phosphate we end up in our tissue and things like that, and that causes the tissue to, other than keep its proper flexibility and elasticity and things, it creates a more rigidness and things, and then little sand sort of grains and all sorts of material like that get deposited in the brain as well, and that can really affect the functioning of these organs, and certainly can affect brain function. It is a fact that silent inflammation is the primary disease-causing element, could we say. It is inflammation that occurs over a long-standing period of time, which is uncontrolled and not necessarily considered, and so then that can have affected a person's health the most, more than anything else. But it is amazing that when people would eat bread which wasn't leavened, they can all have perished, but then the people who were able to leaven that and they were able to break down some of the phytic acid, a lot of them could still survive, because the fermenting, the natural dough, sourdough process of the bread would assist to break the phytic acid down of the grain and cause it to be better. As you could imagine, bread could be better, but certainly bread could be so bad for you actually that if it was done the wrong way, it could really be very, very detrimental. But most bread really is, and wheat is done the wrong way. And then lots of things that's done even with seeds can be not done the right way. But wheat and dairy probably are the two primary foods that people eat the most that cause more mental disease than any other condition. And a biofilm comes to be in the body, and inflammation of the gut, immune proteins are produced as a result of that, and those immune proteins cause a reduction in the amount of space that's present in the plasma of your blood, and so a transport carrier that ordinarily would be present in the blood can't be, because you've got an enormous amount of globulins from the inflammatory process that is being managed, in the gut. And so that all equals not as much and good nutrition for the brain, but it does show that the more hygiene that a person has internally, and this, the longer that the life of the person. And the more hygiene is the primary factor as a factor. So certainly the less of what somebody does, the better, because then there's going to be more hygiene. So that's a fact, isn't it? When we have calorie restriction, people live a longer life just because of that. But and it creates a better hygiene internally because it's a manageable thing, but gluttony is not a manageable thing at all, you see. And so that's an out of control thing. And that's a biofilm that ends up being in the body, and that biofilm is like a condominium, and the condominiums then are there for mold, fungus and yeast to have grown and to have lived, and they can hide out and hang out in between the spaces of ourself for a long, long period of time, and they can be slowly affecting things but not cleared away as it can be cleared away. But we have an acid-alkaline balance which is totally destroyed when we eat those foods. We have a conductivity, which is really how much electricity can go from one place to another in a fluid. And then we have how many spare electrons is that the plasma have the ability to be able to give up. So these are the three indexes that give us a bioterrain. And these need to be really in good stead for the brain to have good functioning. Any of these are out of whack, then the brain downstairs, which is the chief brain, the brain around the intestine, which is more nerve fibre there than the whole of the brain upstairs, or in the whole of the spinal cord, which is a really amazing brain. But your feeling good in life has a lot to do with the health of your stomach and health of your intestinal tract. It happens to be sort of a taboo topic pretty much, actually. People don't necessarily really sort of talk about their gut stuff, do they? You know, but we should probably, but it's not. But it is a major thing that most people actually end up going to the doctors for, is generally digestive disturbance is the primary thing people go to the doctor for. And then headaches is the second one, and they happen to be all food-related conditions. Could we say that food and consumption probably is where people have erred the most, and that could be the greatest help with live food. Anyway, I hope you've really enjoyed this show, all about live food and mental health and having good health of your intestinal tract. This is Dr. David Jubb. This is Universe Inside Our Mind. Stay tuned for some more exciting shows coming up.